Takes a village to dress me.
Exactly.
Thank you all very much. We have some other speakers who are en route getting through security. So we're gathered here today to make a commitment to the Force family that their son will not have died in vain. Last year, we introduced legislation called the Taylor Force Act that would cut off all American funding to the Palestinian Authority until they change their laws, which reward Palestinian young people to kill Israelis, in this case, an American citizen. Senator Blunt was there from the very beginning. Last year, we introduced the bill. This year, we're going to pass it. President Trump will sign it, and we're going to honor the memory of your son. We have Senator Blunt here today from Missouri, Senator Cotton, who is with us. He served in the Army in Iraq and Afghanistan. In many ways, he's walked in Taylor Force's shoes, and we're honored to have him. We have two members of the House, Mr. Doug Lamborn of Colorado and Lee Zeldin of New York. They assure me that if we had a vote in the House, this would pass.
Yes.
And to both of you, we appreciate what you're doing very, very much. And the Force family, Mr. Stuart Force, the father of Taylor, will speak. His wonderful mother, Robbie, is with us here today. And I'll get this started and give everyone a chance to have a few words, but just very briefly. Most Americans have no idea that this is a problem. The Palestinian Authority receives economic assistance funds, well over $300 million from the United States taxpayer. I have no animosity in my heart against the Palestinian people. I'm here today to stand up, along with my colleagues, to a practice that I find inconsistent with American values, inconsistent with peace, and inconsistent with decency. The problem we have is that the Palestinian Authority has a set of laws that are on the book that you can read for yourself that does the following. If a young Palestinian is convicted in court in Israel of being a terrorist, the longer they're in jail, the more their family receives from the Palestinian Authority. If you serve 25 years in jail for committing active terrorism in Israel, you will get the pay equivalent to a major general in the Palestinian Security Forces. If you die as a terrorist, as a martyr, your family will get an annual stipend greater than the average Palestinian earns. In this case, the terrorist who killed Taylor Force was killed. His body was sent back to Ramallah, and we have a video that we can't play for today that shows what kind of welcome that body received. Inconsistent with peace, inconsistent with American values. He was held as a hero, basically given a state funeral, and his family was given money by the state. Not only are Israelis victims of this barbaric practice, American citizens like Taylor Force are victims of this practice. I would argue that young Palestinians are victims of this. Can you imagine growing up in a country where your government will pay you for killing someone else through a terrorist act? And if you want to help your family, you can earn more dying than you can living. So we're going to change this. We're going to get the Palestinian Authority's attention by withholding our money. We're going to try to create an environment in Palestine where young Palestinians can grow up with dignity, live side by side with our friends in Israel. But that day will never come until this law is changed. I'll make a prediction. If it gets to the floor of the Senate, it will be overwhelmingly passed. It will be passed in the House by overwhelming numbers and signed by the President of the United States. So our task here today is to make that happen. We're a divided Congress. We're a divided nation. I've talked to Democrats about signing on. It's only a matter of time. If this legislation comes to the floor, America would be united. Republicans and Democrats alike telling the Palestinians, we want to be your partner, we want to help you, but we're not going to tolerate this barbaric behavior on your part. With that, Senator Blunt.
Well, thank you, Senator Graham, and thank you for taking the lead on this again. We were joined last year, Senator Graham and I, with Senator Coates, who today will have his hearing to be the Director of National Intelligence. So people at the highest level of our intelligence community will understand what we're trying to do here and why we're trying to do it. You know, the empty place in the lives of the Force family can't be filled. You know, the tragedy of what happened has happened, but we can't continue to let this sort of thing happen. We can't continue to financially support a government who looks to the so-called martyrs schedule and actually has a schedule of what you do and how you do it and the level of success that is then commensurate with the level of payment to you and or your family. It's an outrageous concept to be in law anywhere. It's an even more outrageous thing to be in law of a authority that we give money to. So what the Taylor Force Act will do is give the Palestinian Authority a clear choice. You can either stop doing what you're doing, or you won't have our money, at least, to do it with. It is a fairly black and white moment, of a fairly basic moment in human dignity, frankly, for them and for us as well. You know, now that with the leadership of the Force family and Sandra Gerber and others, it's become clear to the Congress that this is not a welfare system. It's a so-called martyr system, and we shouldn't allow killers and ruthless attackers to be recognized by martyrs in a system, as martyrs in a system that we're part of. And so I certainly agree with Senator Graham's evaluation of what happens if this bill gets to the floor of the House and Senate and the President's desk. And so we should be absolutely sure that that happened. We're glad to be here with our House colleagues, glad to be here with Senator Cotton. And Senator Cotton, ready for you to make a few comments.
Thank you. I want to thank Senator Graham for once again leading the effort on this legislation. Taylor Force was an outstanding young American with a distinguished record of service at the military academy and then overseas. He was what every parent could hope their son could be. We're to make sure that the record that he put together is remembered by Americans and is a positive force for change in the world. That taxpayer dollars are no longer going to subsidize the murder of American citizens or Israeli citizens, and that the Palestinian people are no longer subsidized with American money in a leadership that encourages this kind of brutal murder with graduated payments for the more and worse mayhem that these terrorists wreak. So the Force family has my commitment, has all of our commitments, that we're going to do everything in our power to make this bill into a law, to commemorate Taylor's memory, and to ensure that his sacrifice is not forgotten and that it has a lasting positive legacy in the world.
Thank you, Tom, and we'll get to our House members, but we have a group from Israel. It's called the One Family. This group basically is an organization built around the victims of terrorism. There are more than we can count Israeli children who have lost their parents to terrorist attacks, and this organization is designed to help those kids. So it's just not Taylor Force. People in Israel live with this every day, and if we could, we have a representative from the One Family. Would you like to come up and address us? Yes. Unfortunately, they couldn't get through security in time for me to get to meet them, but we have a statement. If you'd introduce yourself, we're honored to have you.
Okay, my English is not so good, so I prepare.
Nor is mine, so you'll...
Okay. Thank you for hosting, first of all. Hello, my name is Jesherin Gavish. I'm a third generation Israeli and one of 7 children. When I was 20 years, on the holiday of Passover, all of our family were home, singing and celebrating the holiday. My mom and dad decided to sit outside. They opened the front door, and in those few seconds, our lives changed forever. A Palestinian terrorist gunned them down. They were hit by 60 bullets. The Palestinian terrorists stepped over their blood-soaked bodies into our house. He saw my grandfather unloaded 10 bullets through him. He died instantly. All of the kids ran up the stairs and hid. Next, he saw my big brother, shot him, but only wounded him. That didn't satisfy him. He hadn't scored enough points yet in this human killing game. He chased him, shot him in the head, and killed him. I saw my brother's head lying in a pool of blood. In what felt like hours, the army burst him, and gunfight ensued, and the terrorist was neutralized. We were left alone in the world. No grandparents, no parents, and our big brother was also gone. Lost sheep without a shepherd. I flew here today to beg you to use all your power to take action for our sake and for the sake of the world, to put in the hand to Arab terrorism and killing as a profession that you get paid nicely for. Thank you.
My name is Shirel Dickstein. My story is almost the same as the speaker before me, but my family members were killed by 3 terrorists who unloaded their bullets on us while we were driving on the highway. We had 10 kids in our family. 6 of them were in the van with mom and dad. My mom and dad and my 9 years old brother were murdered, and 2 of the 6 kids were badly wounded. I was 5 years old. I also came here to beg you for an added reason. One of the 3 terrorists was a policeman in a Palestinian authority. I suppose the salary was higher and job security much more secure being the terrorist. Absurd. Thank you.
We wouldn't be here without Mr. Gerber. Sander has been the force behind this. His daughters are here. You should be proud of your father. He has pushed this with a zeal I haven't seen, and for all the right reasons. And to make this even more real to us, thanks to the gentleman for sharing your story. You'll now hear from Mr. Force, the father of Taylor Force, Stuart Force.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for being here and in support of the Taylor Force Act, senators and congressmen, Senator Gerber. This week from tomorrow will mark 1 year since we lost Taylor. I won't go over his whole life story, but basically if you'd want your son to do all the right things, have them look up Taylor, because he did. Not through anything we did. He had good friends, and he was driven, but he was a good kid. You know, the old Eagle Scout, National Honor Society, West Point, served the country, a couple tours, was going to grad school. But you can look all that up, Google or however you do. But I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the people that I may have missed over the last year that have sent us cards, notes, emails, made memorial donations in Taylor's name to terrific causes, Wounded Warriors, Disabled American Vets, Scholarship Fund at Vanderbilt University. There's a fruit orchard that's being established in Israel, all in Taylor's name, and we appreciate it. And I'd also like to say, not one of the communications or expressions of sympathy that we received over the last year had the label of Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, independent. They're all concerned about our welfare and to make sure that Robbie and I and our daughter Kristen were doing okay. Thanks to them and others, we're doing okay, but we're focused. This is not a partisan issue. This is the right thing to do. And I urge you, your friends in all the different states, to all the different senators and congressmen, please show your support for the Taylor Force Act. Tell them it's the right thing to do and that you want this to pass. Hopefully the third time that we come to Washington will be for the signing of the Taylor Force Act. Sooner the better. Thank you.
House members.
Hello, I'm Doug Lamborn from Colorado. I'm very honored and pleased to be carrying a companion House bill, and I'll be working hard with Lee Zeldin, my colleague, who you'll hear from in just a moment. American taxpayers would be appalled if they knew their money was going to an organization, as you've just heard, that celebrates and incites terrorism, rewards them if they go to jail through annual payments, gives their families money if they are killed in doing the terrorist act that they're doing. And I'll just read you a quote. This quote is what the Palestinian Authority put out on their Facebook page after this horrible incident happened. "Oh, the pride of all the young Palestinians, may your blood remain a source of true honor for the homeland for which you sacrificed all, even your precious lives. We promise you that your blood will continue to be a torch that illuminates our path." After an act of terrorism. So we're going to make sure, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that the PA does not keep getting this taxpayer money so they can reward terrorism. Money is fungible, and they will move it around and do this with it if we continue to send them our hard-earned taxpayer dollars. So we're going to do everything I can to put this practice to an end. Thank you.
My name is Lee Zeldin. I'm from the 1st Congressional District of New York. Honored to be here today with the distinguished senators and my colleague, Mr. Lamborn, most importantly with the Force family. It's important for Americans to understand exactly what is going on right now. Innocent Israelis are being murdered by Palestinian terrorists. Those Palestinian terrorists are being treated and called martyrs. They are given state funerals. Their families are being financially rewarded. United States tax dollars are going to the Palestinian Authority, which provides these cash payments. And it's not just about innocent Israelis being murdered by Palestinian terrorists. Taylor Force is an American hero. He's a graduate of the United States Military Academy in West Point. He deployed to Iraq and Afghanistan in defense of our freedoms and liberties, American freedoms and liberties, everything that makes our nation the greatest nation in the world, why our flag is more than colored cloth, our Constitution is more than ink on paper, it's because of Taylor Force. And the loss of his life, what will come from it? It's important that not only are we sending that message to the Palestinian Authority, that they are absolutely wrong in the way they incite violence, the way they are on the wrong side of history time and again, year after year, decade after decade, in the history of that region of the world. This is not just about leveraging U.S. tax dollars to get positive change in that region. It's about letting the Force family know that we stand with them. They stand with their son. Their son looks down upon us today, and they know that the United States Congress and President Trump will do the right thing by them and make sure the history is rewritten and then a path towards freedom for a beacon of freedom and liberty in a very dark region of the world. Something very positive will come, and I'm honored to be part of this. Thank you, Senator.
That's right. Thank you.
Take a few questions.
Thank you, Senator Graham. Have you had any discussions with the Trump administration about this bill? Do you get the sense that they're generally...
Yes, I am confident that this bill passed, President Trump would sign it into law. And from the Prime Minister's own mouth, this legislation was mentioned in the joint news conference with President Trump. I can tell you that our friends in Israel welcome this, and that I do believe it will be a bipartisan result. The main thing is to get a vote this year. If we got a vote, Josh, I think it would pass overwhelmingly, and it would be signed.
Yesterday, the Trump administration gave the State Department in international affairs...
I'll talk about that later. I want to stay on Mr. Force. Yes, sir.
IDF Brigade General Nitzan alone said this. He said, stability in the region includes the ability of the Palestinian Authority to pay its salaries. Reducing the Palestinians' ability to pay increases security. American aid is relevant to this issue. Do you think this bill goes against the IDF wishes?
Well, I don't know the general, but I do know this, that security is never going to be achieved by paying young people to kill Taylor Force. If you want a secure Palestine, how do you expect to get it by killing this man? What did he do? He's not Jewish for whatever that matters. So this the laws they have are inconsistent not only with their own security, but with peace. So with all due respect to the general, we're not going to give any more money to an organization that is counterproductive not only to peace, but will pay a young Palestinian to kill an American who is eating dinner studying in Israel. So I respectfully disagree, and it's our money, not his. Yeah. Anybody want to say anything? Yeah.
Did Sarah
Yes.
have a question?
Sarah Stern from the Endowment for Middle East Truth. First of all, I can't thank you enough. I just got back from Israel last night where I met with several of the American families, family members who've lost loved ones, and they have been waiting for this for the last 24 years since Oslo was signed, and they have been watching the constant incitement to hate, to kill, and how these young people's brains are actually being marinated despise the Christian, the Jew, and the Israelite. Many of these families have gone through the court system, and they have had civil lawsuits, and for the wrongful death, where they sued the Palestinian Authority. And the First Circuit Court in Washington, they actually won. And the Second District Court in New York, the Palestinian Authority said, we don't have the jurisdiction to pay out because we are not a nation state. So I'm wondering if to be creative, rather than have this money go to the terrorists, we enable some fund to pay for the victims, the American victims of Palestinian terrorism.
Well, that's a separate issue. This act is about assistance. I would like the Palestinian communities to develop. I don't mind helping them with economic assistance, with developing their security forces. But the laws they have are inconsistent with getting the result that we all desire. So the only way I know to get their attention and say America is not going to invest in this model is to cut off the money. And it's not about lawsuits, it's about using taxpayer dollars wisely. It is not wise, in my view, for the American taxpayer to fund a system that gets results like this. Anybody? Yeah.
Should this principle be extended more broadly beyond the PA? There's other legislation or cutting off funding to a host of other countries.
This legislation is about Taylor Force. We'll talk about State Department funding. We'll talk about a world that's turned upside down. But what we're going to talk about is Taylor Force. We're going to talk about him, his family. As Senator Cotton so eloquently said, he's everything good about our country. And so whether or not we cut off money to other organizations who do like-minded behavior is a discussion for another day. One more question, yeah.
I hear you say earlier that the family of the person who murdered Taylor Force was paid and by the Palestinian verdict. Do you know how much money?
We're looking into that, but we have a video of how the body was received in Ramallah. And so the argument goes, well, this is just payments to family members left behind, that this is not rewarding terrorism. This is the government taking care of families who have lost a loved one in a struggle. So that's the argument they make. Well, if I were a prosecutor prosecuting that line of logic, the first thing I would introduce as Exhibit A is the video. The video of how this body was received in Ramallah is inconsistent with it being welfare payments. It is a celebration of an act of terrorism. It is a celebration of Taylor Force dying at the hands of a young Palestinian. And I've been told, and we're looking at this too, not only are there funerals, there are marriage ceremonies where the martyr goes to heaven and gets the reward of a martyr. So we'll get back with you the money, but the statutes are very clear about what happens when you're in prison. If you stay 25 years, you get the salary of a major general, equivalent to a major general in the Palestinian security forces. This is institutionalized terrorism. This is not aid to help the Palestinians. This is a legal structure that rewards young Palestinians to commit act of terror, and the money that we're giving to the Palestinians can't be segregated. And it's not just about the money, it's a message. I desire peace. I think every Israeli in their right mind desires peace, and I imagine most Palestinians desire peace. You'll never receive peace when the government that is seeking peace pays young people to commit acts of terror To the extent that the American taxpayer is involved in this process, we're going to terminate this relationship. Last question.
In the past, Israeli officials were not very enthusiastic about this kind of
Yeah.
idea, and AIPAC was not very supportive. What will be the reaction if we hear Israeli officials speaking against this? AIPAC is going along.
Okay, very good question. And number one, the Prime Minister of Israel took time to mention this in a joint news conference with the President. I have met with him. I think we've all met with Bibi on our visits. He understands the logic of this, that would be sending the right signal at a time that, where that signal would be sent. AIPAC, one of the premier lobbying organizations in the history of the United States. We all appreciate AIPAC. I have briefed them about the bill. They support it in concept. They want some changes. We're open for business, but we're closed-minded to doing nothing. So to my friends at AIPAC, this is a chance to get on board a piece of legislation that is good for America, because we're not going to use your hard-earned taxpayer dollars, the American citizen, to pay to invest in a legal system has an absurd outcome, and it will be a real good chance to tell the Palestinians, if you don't change your behavior, you're going to lose something. So I hope AIPAC will be on board. And I am, along with my colleagues, willing to listen to constructive changes, but we're closed-minded when it comes to doing nothing. The Taylor Force family is going to be shown what America is all about here. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. I want people to understand who America is when it comes to the one and only Jewish state. So this is our way of pushing back against anti-Semitism. This is our way of telling the world at large, enough is enough when it comes to the Jewish community here at home and throughout the world. And I would like to add this. I was with the Pakistani Americans in California yesterday, 2 days ago. The acts of violence against American Muslims needs to be condemned just as much. This is not about religion. This is about human decency. This is not about a religious difference. This is about a difference between a society that is sick to its core, who pays its children to martyr themselves for no good reason, versus a society that pursues justice. And if you want to pursue justice, vote for the Taylor Force Act. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. It makes a big difference. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tom.
Look forward to celebrating with the